are things looking for this new post-Genesys format? So make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button for thoughts with Cole40. So I've had a good chunk of time to kind of scroll through the new format a little bit, look at some of the deck list that people are generating, and I'm seeing a couple of interesting little choices here from players. I'm seeing a lot of, we've broken away into a completely different format at this point. You know, True King of All Calamities with Generator was pretty cool. Vanquished Soul was awesome. And Odeon was, great. But, Runic still remains unchecked at this point. We kind of see a little bit of a shift around from that to, Runic is running around now with Radiant Typhoon. I'm seeing Radiant Typhoon and Generator. We've taken a step away from auto win buttons to going to consistency pieces now. One of the biggest question marks that I am seeing from players right now is why 7 Tachyon is still running around in the course of this format. Because I don't know if you guys really feel that, but it doesn't really feel fair that 7 Tachyon, being this massive enabler for Exceed decks, is still allowed to run around. But I guess Konami's thought process is we want decks to have generic cards. We want players to be able to, play different sorts of things. And if we can make your deck consistent by allowing 7 Tachyon to see play, and also, if you're playing, 7 Tachyon, you can't really bridge into like Synchros or other particular decks like that. You're kind of forced to stay within a certain deck building space. And that's kind of been interesting to look at. Now, a lot of the gimmick died with this list as well. We saw Gishkis going away. We saw, players that were playing the Reversal, Quiz, FTK. And, a lot of these fun gimmicks that players tried to break the format with just got checked. Now, are there other gimmicks still within the format? Yes, there's going to be. But these were what we would consider the most consistent. Konami has stated that they want Genesys format to be a place where you can explore things, but they don't want things to be very broken. And we come back to the Radiant Typhoon thing right now. We did get some restrictions on bits and pieces of the, engines, not just across Radiant Typhoon, but, with a lot of things like Generator getting point restrictions and a lot of niche interactions that Konami wanted to kind of hit. But the Radiant Typhoon draw card is still unrestricted, which feels pretty broken in my opinion. I'm not necessarily too happy that is still running around in the free department. Now, with Radiant Typhoon getting triple Mirage of Nightmare. So this is the one time where you unpoint restricted Mirage of Nightmare. And you already know that Runic players are going to shit their pants on the floor because they're going to want to try to abuse these cards. Now, I go, do all my Radiant Typhoon, Mystical Space Typhoon stuff, set all my Runic cards, go into the turn, draw 4 cards. Well, suddenly, I'm getting 4 cards every turn. You're speeding up the process in which Runic is able to basically try to mill out your opponent. And that might cause some problems along the way. Because honestly, that's kind of what it feels like we're doing here. Bringing back Mirage of Nightmare, and this is what we were talking about. They literally said, we want to tempt you. We want you to play these different cards. But I feel like we just shifted from a Vanquish Soul Generator Odeon format to somehow counterbalancing this on its side and just turning Runic into a massive monster. There's also the discussion of Automata Matt, the the Exceed stuff still doing very, very well. Doom Z is still sitting here in the background. Exo Sister did get some point restrictions put on it. Pax, the Ishishiki Hime, and Mikhail's all now cost cards, which is kind of unfortunate, but, you know, I feel like we should have done this maybe a little bit sooner. I'm actually it's kind of funny because we also saw the art mage check. Basically, everything that was seen play in the rivalry event at events has long since kind of been checked and balanced a little bit. And also, Konami even said like their own internal testing was leading to some different opinions and things within the format. So it's now that they've had enough time to process through data and things like that, it's good. I am also kind of happy to see within the change of this format that, you know, we bumped up last turn. We gave Dynamorphia points. Unfortunately, you know, last turn is a horribly worded card in this day and age. I would expect now that, you know, they're pushing this format, we were dealing with, you know, those issues for 2 events. I can't imagine that Konami wouldn't go through now and try to provide some sort of change to the way that, you know, these cards work with erratas in the future. Maybe Japan's not going to want to push for those erratas yet, but I think this actually gives Konami something to work towards now for the future of things. Because, I mean, if we are going to get a Genesys tournament pack at some point, which Konami, if you are hearing this, we need something like this. We need you to print a style of product to, you know, push this in a more positive direction for us. Also, interestingly enough, Albion and the Fallen and the Virtuous and the rebalancing on the branded deck. Konami is really trying very hard to keep branded in check within this format. They're walking a very dangerous line with how they want this deck to be playable. I don't hate the ideas of what Konami's trying to do. It's just, they're like, hey, we want this to be good to a degree, but we don't want to break it too much. And, you know, you're already going to have more cards coming out for this in Burst Protocol, which is going to open up an entirely another section of worms that we're going to have to deal with. I think you're going to continue to see branded be one of the more regulated decks that they are trying to push being legal at this point. It's going to be the same thing with Exos. You know, like I said, Exos just got those point changes. I think, you know, when we get the next set of cards, they're going to have to further adjust it as well, because the minute that those new cards touch down, it's going to be very, 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 very broken. I also do think that the casual side of things in this format is still very much here. Things like Resonate are going to, you know, perform well. I believe Pittsburgh is going to... Actually, I think there might be another event before Pittsburgh. There should be 2 YCSs coming up here that are going to fuel data for this upcoming section of this new format. I do hope, and this is going to be another thing to think about too, with how much this format's going to keep changing. And you're going to see things. There's going to have to be a throttle system, but also the people that just ordered cards, this is the first time people aren't going to be too happy because they just blew a Vanquish and people are waiting for those cards to come in the mail. That's going to be something that's going to be discussed very long term as we do continue to see these shifting changes within a format. Because we're going to continue to make wide swings like this, people are going to get very burned out very quickly with the shifting of cards, and it is going to burn some people if they're picking up certain cores that they want to play. I've already seen a couple people pissed about Gishki getting hit, and they just picked up the cards for that. And that's not going to settle very well with the format in the long term. No matter what you think, I think that's going to be the case. If you continue to make such wide swings like this, people are going to get very frustrated and you're going to kill this format in the long term. So something to think about, Konami. And I mean that. But what do you guys think? Please comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. patrons. Thank you. Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.